Hello everyone, this is Andrew from Crown Academy of English. Today we are doing a grammar lesson all about direct objects. So this is the form of a normal sentence in English. So we normally have a subject, a verb and an object. So the verb is the action. The subject is performing the action or doing the action. Okay, so it's the person or thing that is doing this action. And finally, important, the object receives the action. Okay, receives the action. So let's look at a very simple example. He is reading a book. So he is the subject. Reading is the action, is the verb, and book is the object. So book receives this action, and he is the person who is doing the action. So in this example, book is in fact a direct object. It's a direct object because it directly receives the action of the verb. Okay, it directly receives this action. Okay. Now, how to identify the direct object? So how do we know which word is the direct object? Well, we have a special question. We ask the following question about the subject and verb. So the question is, what or whom? So we ask what if it is a thing and whom if it is a person. So let's come back to our example. It's the same example. So we ask the question, what is he reading? Okay, what is he reading? Well, the answer is he's reading a book. A book. Therefore, book is the direct object. So he's reading a book. So the answer to the question gives us the direct object. So therefore, book is the direct object. Okay, so this is how you identify the direct object in a sentence. And if there's no answer to this, if the question does not make any sense, if the question is strange, then that means there is not a direct object. Okay, because not all sentences have a direct object, and we will look at that later in this lesson. But first of all, let's look at some more examples. So don't forget, we have the subject, verb, and a direct object. I have bought a house. I is the subject, bought, have bought is the verb, and house is the direct object. So let's ask our question. What have I bought? And the answer is a house. So house is the direct object. Jane loves Mark. Subject, verb, direct object. Now this is a person, so we ask the question whom? Whom does Jane love? And the answer is Mark. Therefore, Mark is the direct object. The kitten is drinking milk. What is the kitten drinking? The answer, milk, the direct object. John is washing the car. What is John washing? The answer, the car, the direct object. Subject, verb, direct object. And the direct object can be different types of words. I am writing a letter. So here we have a very simple example, and the direct object is a noun and it's one word. So letter is a noun and it's one word. John is driving a beautiful red car. Beautiful red car. And this is a noun phrase. because it is several words. There is more than one word, but altogether they represent a noun. I love you. And here, the direct object, you, this is in fact a pronoun. And it's a special type of pronoun. It is a personal pronoun. And we have a very important rule. If the direct object is a personal pronoun, then there is a very important rule that we must follow. So, the rule is, if the direct object is a personal pronoun, then we use the objective case. Okay, it's an object personal pronoun. Object personal pronoun. We do not use the subjective case. So we do not use the subject personal pronoun. So let me explain this. These are the subject personal pronouns. So this is what we use when this is the subject of the sentence. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. And we also have the object personal pronouns. We also call them objective case. So this is when these words are the object of a sentence, the object of the verb. So we have me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. You'll notice some of them are the same. For example, the word you is the subject personal pronoun and also the objective. So there's no difference here, but there are differences in the other ones. For example, I in the subject becomes me when it is the object. We becomes us. They becomes them. And coming back here, he is him. She becomes her. And it remains the same. So, we do not use the subjective case when it is a direct object. We use this column, okay? So we use all of these if it is a personal pronoun as the direct object. Example. This is correct. David called me. But this is wrong. David called I. That is a mistake. So this is correct. Jane doesn't like him. So here we have an example in the negative. Doesn't like him. But this is wrong. Jane doesn't like he. That's wrong. And finally, Mark and Jane helped them. That is correct. But this is wrong. Mark and Jane helped they, because they is the subject personal pronoun. Okay? So just be very careful of that. Now, sentences with intransitive verbs do not have a direct object. And in fact, that is the definition of an intransitive verb. It does not have a direct object. So here is a very common example. The cat is sleeping. The cat is sleeping. So with an intransitive verb, we have a subject and we have the verb. But that is all. We do not have a direct object. So let's just try our question. Let's try our test question. What is the cat sleeping? Remember the question, what or whom? Well, let's test it. What is the cat sleeping? And the question is nonsense. The question does not mean anything. The question is stupid because the answer is, well, nothing. It's a stupid question. It doesn't mean anything. So therefore, there is no direct object. Okay, so there's nothing here. This is an intransitive verb. It is a verb that does not need a direct object. Mark is walking. Mark is walking. What is Mark walking? Well, nothing. That's a nonsense question. So we do not have a direct object. Smoke is rising. Smoke is rising. What is smoke rising? Well, nothing. It doesn't mean anything, that question. Therefore, there is no direct object. This is an intransitive verb. Okay? I have a separate video that explains the difference between transitive and intransitive verbs. The link is in the description and it's also on the screen now. Linking verbs. So linking verbs are verbs like be, seem, become, smell, and there are others. There are other linking verbs, but these are probably the most common. Now, linking verbs do not have a direct object. Linking verbs have something else. Linking verbs after them, they have a subject complement. Okay, a subject complement. And a subject complement simply tells us more, tells us more about the subject, tells us more about the subject, more information about the subject, but it is not a direct object. Okay, a subject complement does not receive the action. Okay, does not directly receive an action. It is simply telling us more about the subject. So this is a common example. We have the verb be. So the verb be as a main verb. So this is a linking verb. David is a doctor. Now this is not a direct object. This is not an action, and this is not receiving an action. Doctor is simply telling us more about David. It's like an equals sign in mathematics. So David equals doctor. Okay, so that's the way to look at linking verbs. David equals doctor. Okay, so it's not a direct object. This is the same principle. Seems, think of it like an equal sign. Mark equals tired. Okay, so subject, linking verb, subject complement. So tired is an adjective, in fact, and it's telling us more information about Mark, but it is not a direct object. Same here. It's becoming cold. So this means this is referring to the weather. Okay, and so cold is telling us more information about the weather. And again, it's almost like an equal sign. Okay, it's telling us more information about the subject. The cheese smells bad. Okay, same thing. This is the subject complement. It is not a direct object. Let's look at some more examples of direct objects. So Mark likes chocolate, and this time it is a noun and it is one word. What does Mark like? Chocolate. Now this is slightly more complicated. Mark likes eating chocolate, and this is a phrase. It's a noun phrase, in fact. So here we have a verb, but it's acting like a noun. We call this a gerund. Okay, so gerund, eating chocolate. So together this forms a direct object. What does Mark like? The answer, eating chocolate. So eating chocolate is the direct object. I enjoy going to London. And again, here we have a phrase, going to London. What do I enjoy? The answer, going to London. So going to London, the whole phrase is the direct object. I think that he is drunk. I think that he is drunk. What do I think? I think that he is drunk. So what do I think? The answer is that he is drunk. And this time it is a that clause. So the that clause is the direct object. We have a very special case here, and I will talk more about this in the next video. But but I just want to introduce it here. So look at this sentence. Jane is giving me a present. Jane is giving me a present. So let's try to find the direct object. So let's ask our question. What is Jane giving? What is Jane giving? And the answer is a present. Okay, so that is the object that she is giving, a present. Here it is. And therefore, this is the direct object, present. But what about the word me? Here, we have another word here after the verb. So what is this? Well, me is also a type of object. Okay, it's a type of object. It's an object of the verb. So giving has two objects. It has this one, a direct object, and me, we call this the indirect object. The indirect object. Okay, so give has two objects, a direct object, present, and an indirect object, me. But don't worry, I will explain indirect objects in the next lesson. And finally, this is an English grammar ebook that I recommend. Very, very good English grammar ebook that I recommend to all my students. And if you're interested, then click the link in the description below this video for more information. And there is also a link on the screen. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Again, if you're interested in that English grammar ebook, click here for information. And here are some other videos that I recommend.